Hello, good afternoon or good morning or wherever you are. Good day. Hmm, I think today I am here on time and online and broadcasting. um, yes. So I'm happy that it worked out well this today. Last time there was it was my fault that I haven't been there because we had this the time change here in Germany a week, no, 2 weeks almost earlier than you had it in the United States. So, and I was not aware of that. So I was an hour late. So I'm sorry that I missed out last week's session for that reason. And I'm happy also that you are still coming back and that I also see Jita here in the chat because she was the one who gave the idea for today's topic. Not last time, but yeah, when I was here with you last time, so 2 weeks ago, Jita asked whether I could talk about my practice. I think it was Jita. So I have not brought a sutta for you all today, but I am going to talk a little bit about my practice, about the practice that we do here at Anenja Vihara in Germany. And I would also be happy to answer any questions about meditation that you might have. So I'm able to follow here on the side the chat. So if you have any questions, please go ahead and ask. I think I can get along with it myself. My name is Aya Phalanyani. Again, greetings to you. There are some new people coming. So, today's topic, my practice, Aya Phalanyani's practice. I'm not as well known as other speakers of Buddhist insights, so and maybe some of the people here have not heard of it or heard of me yet. So my name is Phalanyani Bhikkhuni. Ordained as a bhikkhuni since 11 vasas. This was my 12th vasa that I completed, but I ordained in the first vasa in the first month, but we don't count that. So this was my 11th vasa. I ordained in 2010 in America with Ayatata Aloka as my preceptor. And it was the first ordination she had in America. She had one beforehand, before that in Australia. So I was in that group that she ordained in Sonoma Coast in Aranya Bodhi Hermitage. And at that time, there was nothing. So it was just building up that beautiful forest monastery. And there comes a question. So as I'm alone, I have to be multitasking and reading. So I have a problem. So, yes, dear Venerable, I think I introduced myself enough and I can speak about my practice later. So, I think this is a very good question that we can answer about practice actually. Dear Venerable, I have a problem. Who hasn't? When I'm busy, involved in work, I remember the Dhamma. I feel I don't have time, but then when I do have time and I'm lax in my practice and fall into lay enjoyments. Well, yes, that is a very, very common problem. And this is one of the main difficulties for lay people because we all have the Dhamma. We have heard of the Dhamma. Some of you have been in touch with the Dhamma since they were born, when they are Sri Lankans or Thai people. So others have been in touch with the Dhamma for many, many years. Still, we know it. We have some idea of it. We have some at least elementary understanding of it. We know at least that we have to practice. And yet we forget, yet we don't do. And that's very, very common. And this is really one of the greatest dangers the Buddha said for the lay people. This is why it is important that we have ordained members of the Fourfold Sangha that can remind everyone. Of course, we have to remind ourselves as well that we have to practice, that we have to go for. But for us, it's kind of the job description to want to become enlightened. That is one of the things that the Buddha said for monastics. We should have in our mind nothing much more than becoming enlightened first. After that, we can teach and do many things, but at first, we shall practice. And then we can encourage and remember and teach others. But for you at home, having this having this busy schedule and living this life that the Buddha says is narrow and crowded, it's really very, very difficult to remember the Buddha's teaching and to remember practice and not to become lazy. Of course, laziness and laxness is also a danger for monastics. But when you come home from a work day and have worked hours and hours and are just tired, then we have that not only tendency, we learn from childhood on that we want to relax and that we want to distract ourselves, that we want to have something to be entertained with. The hunger, our hunger for entertainment is very, very profound and deep sitting. So it is very hard for monastics and much more so for householders to get over that point of laziness. Of course, we know it's a hindrance. Laziness, drowsiness, distraction, and wanting to have some entertainment, all these things that are, of course, hindrances for our practice. But when we don't remember that we have to get over them, it's difficult. And as I said, for you at home, after a busy working day, it's much more difficult to remember, because then there are other things. You have to clean your home, you have to be with your family, or you want to be with your family. There are friends calling, and there are so many mm, distractions, so many requirements, so many things that need to be done, um, that our concentration and our awareness, so sati and mindfulness, often are not strong enough to start practicing. Although the Buddha says we should give up the small pleasure for the greater pleasure. The small pleasure here would be for, oh, just hanging on the sofa and relaxing, or watching TV, or having a filling meal in the evening, so much so that we are so tired that we fall asleep right away. So this all, of course, is much more for you people at home a danger. These things, hanging on the sofa, watching TV, eating in the evening so much that we fall asleep right away in the evening, that is not so much in the monastic life a danger. Although I have to say we have dangers enough still. But so what can you do? As I see it, you can love yourself more and take care of your mental well-being. You know, you are showering, you're dressing up, you're perfuming, and taking care of your body and things. And you're taking care of your house. But there's one thing you don't take care so well, and that is your mind. That is your mental well-being. You're brushing your teeth every day, and you wouldn't stop doing these things although you are tired. You do it. There's no question. And we have to develop kind of the same mindset for the meditation practice. We have to implement it so much in our daily life that not doing is not an option. You know, we take care of our schedules. It's in the end us who decide what we do. And we can always find a few minutes. There's no way that we can't afford, out of 24 hours, 15 minutes at least for meditation practice. And if we can do that, at least 15 minutes every day as mental hygiene, then sometimes it might happen, because it does so well, that we sit longer, that we just enjoy doing more, and that we um, grow in our practice and see the benefits of it. So that is one thing. Just um, implementing it in our daily life, in our schedule, in the morning or in the evening or whenever possible, so strong that there is no way that we don't do it. At least 15 minutes, if possible more. Then what else could be done? For example, we can put reminders. We can put Buddha statues in our home. We can have uh, a little shrine in our room. And once we see the Buddha, we remember, oh, yes, I should. We can even cover, for example, our TV or the computer at home and put a Buddha statue or an image in front of it, so that we first have to confront the Buddha, you know. And once you face the Buddha uh, on an image, and you say, okay, I put you away to watch TV. That's quite of a burden to do, you know. That's not that easy done. So these are kind of things that if you are too lax at home, you can do these things. It's possible. And we have a saying in Germany: we have to jump over our pig dog. I know you don't have that in English, but I like it very much, because there is no such things as a pig dog. So there's nothing to jump over. You know, it's just do it. We just have to do it. And as I said in the first place, it has a lot to do with loving yourself. Really. Because if you really love yourself, if you like yourself and want the best for yourself, then what else can you do than practice? Honestly, what is there? Is there any video show or game or whatever in this world that would be more important than practicing and calming the mind, purifying the mind? No. So get yourself reminders everywhere in your home. And commonly, I noticed with some of our friends here in Germany who are coming to practice, the family, in the first place, they don't like it that much that the people practice, because they don't know what is happening to them. So the family members of practicing students of ours. So after a while, when the people who practice calm down and become more polite by the Dhamma and become more gentle, more peaceful, then they realize this is because of the meditation practice. This does not come from nothing. This comes from the meditation practice. So they enjoy it very much that their partners are practicing. And once they learn to introduce their family, for example, they learn how to include their children into the meditation instead of shooing them away, then it also becomes more mm, yeah, more fun for the family, for the entire family. You know, you can include family. You don't have to exclude them. If you have small children, you can put them on their laps and calm them down. Or you could read them some Jataka stories instead of giving them some TV shows or so to watch. There's so much we can do. And we can make it really, we can make the Dhamma also a good family time. So, um, do you hear me still? Can somebody give me a thumb up if you hear me? Because it says my browser has lost the connection. Okay, well then, it seems my camera is not working anymore. But when you hear me, that's all right. So, mm, thank you so much for thumbs up. Yes, I don't know what is happening. It says no camera. Let me see. Yes, there we go again. Good. I think I talked enough of that. Maybe. There was another question. I please. Yes. Please advise how one should keep one's motivation up to keep practicing. Thank you. I think that was it for today. I'm happy to talk about that another day. I think for today, that's enough encouragement, no? So let's see what we have here. I was going to play the computer, but then I saw this video, so I will do my great Arthur. Okay, there's another question. Hi, obviously you take good care of your mental health, but how about your physical well-being? Do you set a target number of steps? Ooh, ha. So this is a question about physical well-being. No, I have to admit that no, we're not. I'm not that much into it. The physical well-being. Um, what to say about that? This is a body. And yesterday we had something for lunch, and all of us were sick yesterday, and um, um, yeah, with diarrhea and vomiting and so. I was complaining a little bit, making fun, to be honest. Not really complaining, but I said it's how you say that in English. I don't know how to say it in English, but it's something like this is mean to give us a human body, or to give us a body at all. That's well, now we have these bodies, and yes, we have to live with these bodies, and we do need some type of also physical well-being. And this is not so much for me a practice of my daily life. Just these days we were talking about it because I'm getting old and I'm having a stiff shoulder now, and pains here and there, and so we were talking about it, that might well be that we also should take care of the body. And so we just talked about this in this monastery these days. And in the Buddha's time, the people have been walking a lot, not so much the bhikkhunis, but the bhikkhus at least have been walking a lot. And I did yoga for about 30 years of my life, and Tai Chi and all these things. And I stopped abruptly when I started being a nun. I stopped it. So after 13 years being in robes of some kind, I come to the conclusion that yes, there is a body, and yes, we do also have to take care of that body, because we need to continue to strive for enlightenment. We can take this suffering that this body causes, take as a good friend and a good advisor to practice more, to use it as a means of sati, to understand sutta thoroughly. But on the other hand, also it's nice to sometimes just being able to use this body for what it is there. So I'm not quite sure what kind of physical well-being or what means we will implement for the physical well-being, but I think there should be some. And until now, I thought that no, shouldn't be done, because there is a story of the in the Bhikkhu Patimokkha that monks who do yoga should be put together with those who are chatty or talkative. So I always said no. I'm not going to do anything like that. I'm just practicing. But yes, we'll see into this. And I think, and here I might talk about a little bit about my practice. My practice is so I'm doing vipassana, the Ajahn vipassana practice. And in this practice, we observe the present moment. And when there's physical suffering, we try to observe it as it is. So much so that this suffering that you see becomes your teacher and becomes your advisor. So this is a kind of practice that would not go into the pain or into the suffering, but go with it. But here is von Sunya Anagarika. There's the question that as we discussed it earlier, talk about my practice today. So let me start from the beginning. So I'm practicing since about 40 plus years. I started with Zen meditation, because I grew up in Düsseldorf, and we do have the largest Japanese community in Europe lives in Düsseldorf. So if you are interested in Buddhism and live in Düsseldorf, Zen is the first thing you meet. I heard about Buddhism when I was, I don't know, I don't remember exactly, 9 or 10 at school from our Catholic religious teacher. And when she introduced other religions and was talking about the Buddhist religion, I didn't know what it was, and I wasn't a Buddhist right away, but I loved it. I liked it. And when I was about 15, I started my spiritual search and wanted something, something to hold on, something that would give me a sense, um, that would give me something, yeah. And I read the Bible, and I couldn't go with it. It didn't resonate. And I thought, what's that? Did they take drugs when I was, I don't know how that chapter is called in English, but yeah, parts I really didn't understand. So when I was about 19 or 20, I met the Dalai Lama, and I had my first meditation at experience in kind of groups of mime and pantomime that I did for as a hobby. So, mm, and then I had my first boyfriend. He was half a Japanese then, and they thought we are going to marry. And so the family of that boyfriend invited me to Japan. And then they asked me, what do you want to do in Japan? And I said, I want to do a retreat, a Zen retreat. And so they organized that for me. And that was my very first retreat in this life, at the age of about 21 or so, in Sogenji in Japan, with Harada Roshi. Harada Roshi at that time was not very known. Now he has places all over, and if you're interested, he has this large internet community, One Drop Zen org also. So this is very, very a very large, widespread community by now. And I did practice as a layperson for about 30 years, until age of 48, more or less. I practiced Zen as a layperson. As I said, sometimes half an hour, sometimes longer. There were, I have to say, rarely days that I didn't practice, because I knew I needed it. For me, it was, I was lucky enough that I knew that my life would be a mess without meditation. So I always did it. And mm, then at the age of 48, I was living in Spain, uh, a small little life. After being an actress and a comedian, I had retired to Spain, and didn't want to do anything external anymore. And yeah, wanted to retire, but had to do small jobs because, yeah, was not at the age to retire. And so um, at the age of 48, I thought, well, was that it? But that was in a sense of spiritual development. In my life, I traveled, I did what I wanted. I can say that I really did what I wanted. But um, even having seen the entire life, having lived a life that everybody always said, "Whoa, great, what a life you live," I was not satisfied. and that was because of the spiritual development. So I decided I have to go on retreat again, and I contacted that same monastery, Sogenji, where I have been 20, 30 years before. And no, 20, yeah, well, never mind, 28 years before. And uh, I they didn't answer for long. And then I started researching in internet, in the in Google. I found out, wow, you can go to Thailand, and there is you get your own kuti, your own meditation hut, and so this, I thought, this is brilliant, and it's much cheaper, so I can go longer. And in my ignorance, I thought, I have 2 months to go. Money is enough for 2 months. So I go 2 weeks on retreat and 8 weeks, 6 weeks to the beach. It turned out that I stayed in the monastery for the entire 2 months. And in the end, I decided to take on the robes. And it was clear to me that this is the way to go. There is no other option. And this was when I met the practice that I'm doing still, not only, but mainly. And this is the Vipassana meditation technique of Ajahn Tong Sirimangalo of Thailand, of Chom Tong. And I learned it by him and by his students, Ajahn Supan. And also I had, in the beginning of my practice, half a year, more or less, some month, with Noah Yuttadhammo. So when I was introduced to this meditation technique, I didn't like it at all, because you name everything. I was from the Zen meditation. I was practicing the still mind and the just sitting and letting go of everything, letting flow things. And it was called Shikantasa. And that was stillness and bliss. And then somebody comes and says, I have to name things every second. That was horrible. And I complained about it. I said, this is a bad meditation technique. I don't want to do it anymore. There's so much, it causes so much noise in the head. And that was Noah Yuttadhammo at that time. He said, well, there you see all the noise that you have in your head. And that kind of struck me, because it was true. If there was not the noise in the head or in my mind, it wouldn't bother me. I had learned to suppress it and to sit well without being bothered for an hour, for 2 hours, or whatever time. But it always came back, and it was there in the background. But when I learned that this practice really shows you the present moment, I really started enjoying it. So this practice of Ajahn Tong comes from the meditation practice of Mahasi Sayadaw. Ajahn Tong Sirimangalo went in his younger age to Burma to study with Mahasi Sayadaw. And then he went, after some time, he went back to Thailand, to his own monastery. And there he developed and modified it a little bit to his own needs. And Ajahn Tong was a very, very energetic person. He had a huge reservoir of energy, unstoppable almost. So he implemented, I think, more walking meditation. And he also included some touching points. Touching points are points that are throughout the body. It's not like a body scan, but you have certain points in your body on the meridians that you mentally touch. So you have a very, very tight system that you mentally go through. You have in the beginning, you bring your mind to the belly. And there you observe the rising and the falling of the abdomen. So if you see it in the lower belly, it's kind of back and forward. And if you observe it a little bit at the sternum, you see it going up and down like this. So it's a rising and a falling moving, and you observe that. And this is only a concentration and anapanasati part in the beginning, and you start with that. After a while, you would continue by adding the knowing of sitting, the knowing and naming of sitting. You would find a point somewhere in your body where you know sitting. And then you have rising, falling, sitting. And you do make a mental note of everything. So you say it in your mind. You know, it's not that you just observe it, you say it in your mind. And then after a while, you would start with the touching points and go through it. So this is a very, very tight system. And this is for the mind to be occupied all the time. So your mind can't escape into daydreaming or escape into not seeing things. When you every second name something, and especially when you are lazy or when you're drowsy or when you are angry with having to name and make a mental note of everything, and you hear yourself saying angry, angry, angry all the time, then you can't escape that. You have to know it, and there is no going around. And that was possible in Zen meditation. When I was looking for the stillness and for the peace, I could look away from all the parts that were not good, that I didn't want to see. I learned to look around or away from them. But with this meditation technique of Ajahn Tong, you can't. And that, if you then practice it, transforms your mind. It transforms because you know something every moment, and you know, above all, you know your mental contents. It's like a shop manager who has to do stock, who goes into his store and checks what there is. And so we do this constantly. And of course, you have to have a high concentration and a high awareness to be able to do this. Mm. And the first thing that I had to deal with was, of course, with the aversion of not wanting to name, and of course, also the aversion of what there is. I thought I'm a good person already because I could look away from all these bad things. And the bad thoughts, they didn't occur to me as being something unwholesome. But after starting this practice, I noticed I do have evil thoughts. I do want to think and talk bad about other people. I have evil intentions, although I think I'm a good person. So this was quite a shock, actually. Mm. So since 12 years, I'm mainly practicing this. But since I have the other practice also, I think it's valid to give myself or other people a holiday once in a while, to just have peace and quiet and um, sitting in some having a good time in meditation. I think both is very important because looking at yourself in vipassana as taught by Ajahn Tong is no fun. It's it's really nothing for if you want to have some well-being also. It's really, yeah, lets you see the good and the bad that you have, and it turns out to be more bad. So, but let me check what there is. I think in the meantime, when I was talking, there were some comments. Being in the present, sometimes it's hard for me to find the right concentration, not too string, not too weak. Uh, just as much as seeing things arise and pass away. Yes. Um, this is, of course, to find the right measure and not to be too strict and not to be too loose in your concentration is, of course, very important. When I started, as I said, I came from the Zen practice, and the teacher said, "Whoa, your concentration is like a hammer." I was like, oh good. I was getting proud. And he said, "Yes, but we are trying to play the piano. So please put the hammer away." It was, and yeah, I think we have both the right concentration and the right awareness as samasati and sama samadhi in the Eightfold Noble Path. And it's not there for nothing. It's there for some reason, and it's important that we do practice them both in a level way. You can do many things when you're highly concentrated. But when you're not aware, they can turn out to become very, very unwholesome. Even how you say that? An assassin needs a high concentration, but can go because he has not an awareness of what he's doing, and that doing unwholesome things is completely way off. He uses the concentration in a very wrong way. So it is important that we have it very, very clearly, that we see the sila is one highly important thing on our path. Then the awareness of sticking to the sila and sticking to the moment is very important too. And well, I try to explain it in a way. Let me see. I'm holding a microphone. I need both hands now. Excuse me for a moment. So, okay. So, I'm sitting here, and in front of me, there's a door. And, well, there's the computer, and then there's a table with flowers on it, and then there's a door. Say, I would want to go to the door now and open it. There's a doorknob, So I see the doorknob. Now, when I have a high concentration, I see that doorknob. And concentrating, focusing on it. The more I focus, the more the surroundings disappear. When we have a very, very fine concentration and a strong focus on something, things disappear. Only that one thing remains. That is one pointedness. It's important to have, but when it's not supported by awareness, it can even become dangerous. So if I want to go to the doorknob now to open it, I stand up very focused on it, drop the computer, fall over the tables, over the flowers, because I didn't see it. I was too focused on the doorknob. Now, if the same thing, if the level is more on the side of awareness and the concentration is not high enough, then I would want to go to the door and see the doorknob and see, oh, here I have a computer, and oh, there's a little eye. Oh, what do I have here? What is this here? And how many people are there? Oh, another question. Yes. I come to this. So I'm getting lost. I see everything. I see every little detail and get lost in it because there is not enough concentration to get me sticking to my goal, But when you have concentration and awareness leveled, balanced, then I know I want to go to the door. I know what to do with the computer. I have to put it aside. Then I have to walk around the table. I need to leave aside what I see on the screen, but go straight to the door and open it. I can do what needs to be done. Now, for the practice in the beginning, it's not important that concentration and awareness are both very high. They need to be both there, balanced. And then, little by little, we can increase both. And the problem with most meditation techniques nowadays is that um, uh, that you learn only one thing, or that they focus only on one thing. Only, for example, train the concentration, or train the mindfulness, but do not train both, you know. And once it's out of balance, and you're not, yeah, practicing balanced, it can become difficult to get back on track. So, but now let me see what there is. So, um, yeah, would you love to visit Arunachal? Yes, I would love to visit Arunachal Pradesh or Assam. Oh, how I would love that. Yes, but I think presently it's not possible. Oh, yeah, Jim, that's a great comment. Yes, Jim says a piano is many tiny hammers hitting finely tuned strings. Great comment, Jim. Yes, I was talking earlier about the teacher mentioning my practice is like a hammer, and I should put it away. And yes, and it's great. So, but these playing piano on these little hammers is knocking on every single moment. You know, it's not one big hammer knocking out everything, but it's a little tiny hammer knocking on the awareness of the sense doors of every little moment, every single moment. So we only have 3 minutes left. And then I think we shall um, conclude for today. Yes, if I'm not messing, will be back. There was a question if I can come back many times. Yes, I can. I think I am doing this stream now every Wednesday this time. Um, and maybe I do prepare a sutta for next time, or would it be interesting for you to talk more about practice, to talk more about, um, for example, meditation practice, as we might not have finished today? What do you think? Okay, maybe more, both, even, because suttas also talk about practice. Um, Amaranta, are you the one from Costa Rica? Okay, so mixed mixed feelings about it here. Ah, okay, I thought because last time there was somebody from Costa Rica, and we have a nun who is also um, setting up at one point in her life, in I don't know when, uh, a meditation center or monastery in Costa Rica. So I wanted to connect. But yeah, so we come to an end of our today's talk, for today's, it seems, yes, both practice and suttas. I'll look into it. Surprise for you next time. I'll be live again next Wednesday at 2 o'clock German time. Now here it says it's 3 o'clock. I don't know what time that is in your country. I'm sorry. I'm very, very bad with these things, and I honestly I messed up with it last week. But I think now I got it, and no more time changes. So 2 o'clock German time, 8 o'clock New York time. That is what I can give to you as references. Rest is up to you. All the best. Bye bye.